WLS.
This hour is brought to you by Metra.
Live from Chicago, this is Bruce Dumont. We continue with hour number 2 of our Beyond the Beltway assessment of national politics. Thanks very much for joining us on our last hour of our last broadcast in 1997. Melody Hobson is here. She is Senior Vice President, Director of Marketing for Ariel Mutual Funds. Kathy Posner is here. She is president of her own public relations firm called Com2. Chip Wilkins is here. He is a marketing executive with a startup software company. 1-800-723-8289 is the telephone number. We'll get to calls in just a moment, but before the break, Kathy Posner, when she came in here, and I asked her at the beginning of the program this evening what she was upset about, in addition to the McCoy twins and thinking that we all had been saps because we fell for the McCoy hype and the tuplets out of Iowa, she threw down a current package of M&Ms, empty on one end, and it was listed as the official candy of the new millennium, and this ticked you off.
Well, it ticked me off because I wondered I love M&M, so this is no anti-M&M thing, so I don't want to get the calls.
The bag was empty.
Saying, why shouldn't M&Ms be the official candy of the millennium? But what makes them thus? I mean, we live in a world where you have to pay. United Center is the name of the stadium where the Bulls play because United Airlines.
But nobody owns the millennium.
Well, that's why. So how can they be the official candy? So can this then be the official radio show, talk show?
It is.
I would like to be the official publicist of the millennium. Melody's company should be the official mutual funds.
Why don't we start something here tonight? Write the list down here.
Right, yeah, what
about it?
Well, you could also use dead people, too. It could be the official candy of Beethoven, for example. He's not around, his heirs aren't around, so, it's just something that they could just... It's hype, marketing hype.
Yeah, but you can't... The word official brings with it that it's true.
But it passed their legal department.
But you see, M is 1,000.
Right.
M&M would obviously be 2,000. So they have
an angle.
They got a nice little.
My company is Com2. MM, there's the 2,000. I already have the 2 up there. So I have a reason also. Beyond the Beltway, you don't make it. You aren't Roman numerals on BTB.
But here's the point. The official candy. Now, do you have something here? Do you think we could all palm ourselves off as the official something of this? You could be the official marketing software company.
Absolutely.
We've got the capital investment over here, mutual funds.
Could I put it on my company stationery? I might redo my stationery.
Why don't you do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wondered. Who gives someone the power to be the official candy of the millennium?
We could start a whole scam here tonight. Anyone who calls, we could give them sanction right tonight.
We could do that, and we could charge them for it also, split up the money. It always costs you to be the official something.
Well,
$2,000. That's a good price for a logo.
But I don't think we could do that business over the air.
We'll take Visa cards.
Do a website.
We'll do a website. We've got Chip here to put that together.
Yeah. All right, so we've got an official public relations firm. Why don't you keep track of this?
Okay, so I'll keep that.
It's Com2 is the official public relations firm. Beyond the Beltway is the official talk show. Ariel Mutual Funds, the official mutual funds or capital investment?
Official mutual funds.
The official mutual funds of the millennium, and you're the official marketing software.
Any software, all software.
Oh my! Hey, you're picking up a big market.
Well, I'm trying to get a few % into Bill Gates. I mean,
now, what's the name of your company?
All the time that he's wasted of mine.
What's the name of your company?
Our company's called Factoryware.
Factoryware, the official official software of the new millennium.
That's it.
We've got it here.
Hey, we're rolling here.
I'd like to throw in that Diet Coke could be the official drink because it is the best beverage in the entire world.
I know, but
it deserves it. And I own no stock. They're not a client, anything. I just love Diet Coke.
All right, we're going to go to Martha, listening to us in Santa Monica, California, one of the most beautiful cities in the United States on the Pacific Ocean.
It's also the People's Republic of Santa Monica.
It is. That's right.
I think it's Clinton's playground.
How are you?
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
What do you do for a living, Martha?
I'm retired.
You could be the official retired person of the new millennium. Go ahead.
I don't know about that. I have a little bronchitis, so you bear with me.
All right.
First of all, Clinton is a consummate liar. He's a consummate politician. And no politician wants anything fixed. In their heart of hearts, they really don't, because then they can't throw money at it. And that's why I think he threw up the race issue. I don't want to get into race. NAFTA is a joke because it is downsizing our economy, our society, and the United States is being reduced to a third world nation. We have an open border, which is a biggest problem, the most serious problem that this country faces. And that gentleman that called,
We not only have a big problem that our border is open, we have an even bigger problem that our border mate is Mexico. And in the next 10 years, the events of the last week in Mexico are just the tip of the iceberg of what's going to happen in that country.
I
that
can't
country's going
disagree
to
with you.
explode on our watch.
However, if I may proceed, the gentleman that you said, well, what are you going to do with the $40 billion
Yep.
surplus? That's a joke. That's a joke.
Why is it a joke?
$40 billion? What has happened to the almost $1 trillion in the Social Security Trust Fund surplus? Where is that? Where is that?
Well, that is waiting for the baby boomers to retire.
No, that's been spent. And that's due, you see, Dorcas Hardy in the 80s projected that there would be a surplus in the Social Security Trust Fund in 2010. A surplus of $4.5 trillion. Where is it?
Well, we
It's
don't
been spent. So we've been diverted to saying,
Well,
what are we going to do with a $40 billion surplus?
No, but one of the recommendations, by the way, is which has been recommended by a lot of people who are watching the deficit, and their suggestion is that really you begin to pay down the debt because the debt has got to be paid down.
Yeah, but no, you're talking about debt, and I'm talking about deficit.
Right.
The deficit has been played down by the use of the surplus in the various pensions, and the mama of them all is a Social Security Trust Fund surplus. It runs a constant surplus, and it's used. Say, for example, in 1994, the real deficit would have been $240 billion, but they took $80 billion from the surplus, the Social Security, and they played it down.
Melody, is that true?
I'm not sure about that. I'm really not.
Okay, thank you very much for your call. We appreciate it. What about, when you talk about, let's pick up on her point, however, insofar as the future of Social Security. Are you optimistic that when you retire there's going to be money there for you, Chip?
No. I assume that there won't be.
And what are you doing to plan for it?
I've scoped out a small piece of beachfront property in Australia.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's your plan?
Yeah, I'm going to serve drinks, and I play guitar, so I figured
That's
I'll
it? You're going to
entertain
Australia?
for tips. Yeah.
Melody, we know you're planning for your retirement.
But I think an
that's what you
interesting
do.
statistic is I'm, of course, a member of Generation X based on my age, and that there was recently a survey done by a major investment firm that said the average Generation X person, when they were surveyed, believes that there will be no Social Security. There are more people who do not believe that Social Security will exist than people who believe that the Earth is flat.
Do you think it's going to be there for you, Kathy?
well, I'm baby.
Many years before you retire.
Oh, well, I mean, not as many as Melody. I'm a baby boomer, so I'm generation, ahead of her. I don't think it's going to be around. And what I'm doing now is I'm playing slot machines, putting away the money that way.
Playing slots, that's it?
Playing the slots, that's the way to do it.
We got the slots,
Keeping
we got
it in
the stock
sock.
market, and we got a beachfront property in
Australia
waiting for you with a little mandolins. 1-800-723-8029. More callers on the line. We'll return to them when we continue live from the Radio Hall of Fame in Chicago. I'm Bruce Dumont. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Trick or treat!
Hey, kids. Halloween was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but it was getting a little dark out, and our dad had the wrong speed film in his camera. His pictures were all crummy, so he made us dress up again.
Well, you kind of caught me off guard. Here, have a cigar.
Thanks, mister.
There are no do-overs in life, so don't get caught without Kodak Gold Max film. Kodak Gold Max. Maximum versatility for bright light, low light, stills, and fast action. Kodak. Take pictures. Further.
Why is it when you're running late, everyone on the road's running late? It's brake lights as far as you can see. All you want is a way out. If only you had a special button that would make traffic part in front of you. That would make red lights turn green. That would make the going easy.
Everything's easy at Shell, where you can use the Shell MasterCard from Chase to earn free gasoline. Shell, moving at the speed of life. Some charges and restrictions apply. See rebate terms and conditions. Available at participating stations.
Let's take a minute and talk about Volunteers of America of Illinois. For over 100 years, Volunteers of America of Illinois has been meeting the needs of the Chicago community, like providing a safe home for an abused child, a caring role model for a failing student, counseling for a broken family, and hope for children struggling with issues of violence and indifference. Now we'd like to tell you about how you can help Volunteers of America and get something out of it for yourself. If you have an old car that you no longer want, you can donate it to Volunteers of America and get the maximum tax deduction available on your federal tax form. That's right, you can get the maximum legal value of the vehicle off of next year's tax form, and you can skip the hassle of trying to sell your vehicle and haggling over the price. But the best part is the proceeds from your old vehicle will go to help more Chicagoans. If you have an old vehicle and need the tax deduction, call now, and the staff of Volunteers of America of Illinois will explain the fast and easy donation process. To arrange pickup of your vehicle, call 1-800-363-1129. That's 1-800-363-1129. 1-800-363-1129.
Do you love the game? Then you love the stuff. So how do you get the stuff? Nothing but hoops. It's the official catalog of the NBA. It has the greatest selection of basketball stuff anywhere. NBA Authentics, kids products, gifts, even WNBA stuff. Get your favorite team's gear anytime, anywhere. Call 1-800-NBA-HOOPS to get your free Nothing But Hoops catalog. You're into the game, now get into the gear. 1-800-NBA-HOOPS.
Listen to the sounds of your own front door, your own lawnmower, your own kitchen floor. These aren't the first sounds you'll hear when you finally decide to buy your first home. These are 1-888-HOME for Us, the free information and planning hotline for first-time homeowners. Call now, 1-888-HOME for Us. A public service message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
From the Charleston Crab House at the Wapu Bridge in Charleston, South Carolina, to the Pizza Farm in Rockmart, Georgia, you're listening to Beyond the Beltway. I'm Bruce Dumont. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Let us go to Washington, D.C., where Angelo is listening to us on WRC, the radio home of Joe Madison. Go ahead.
How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
All right. Nice to talk to you guys.
Angelo, what do you do for a living?
Data entry.
You are now the official data entry clerk of the new millennium.
I appreciate that.
Go ahead.
What I want to talk about, what bothers me the most the last 5 to 10 years has been the media. The media seems like they have been infringing on people's personal privacy before due process is taking place, be it a politician, entertainer. It seems like they destroy credibility, and it also plays a big part in stereotyping. And I'm not saying that it should be completely censored, but I think before you go to any kind of court or trial or whatever process you're involved in, the media should kind of pull back away from it until that process has taken effect. I want to know what you guys thought about that.
Do you have a specific example in mind?
There's very many. Let's say the situation.
Well, like this Richard Jewell in the Olympic bombing.
Well, even like that, like the problem with the situation with Clinton, with the lady that they've been talking about, with OJ, with the John Bonet, whatever.
Ramsey?
Ramsey. I mean, I'm not saying that the media should be completely censored. I'm saying that when you're dealing with trials and the judicial system, if you put out certain images before process takes place, then I think that infringes on the impartiality.
All right, let's get reaction from around the table. Kathy Poster, start with you.
We have such a thing as the Bill of Rights and freedom of the press, and I guess it's more correct to allow the media to go too far than to ever risk censoring the media in any way.
I'm not saying a complete censor. I'm saying some type of...
Yeah, but if you censor them even in some way...
Well, let's leave the word censor off the table. Let's try discretion.
Right.
Exactly.
Is the media capable of discretion?
Yes.
They are?
I think so.
All right.
Well, something has to be done to ensure that discretion is taking place because...
Oh, I'm not sure that something can be done from a legal standpoint. It would be nice to see them use discretion more often. Whether or not that's going to happen or whether that's likely to happen, I'm not sure.
And when you talk about the media, I mean, that's a very broad brush because there are There are responsible members of the media, and there are irresponsible members of the media, and they have different standards of performance, and it is up to the receiver, it's up to the consumer to beware and to determine which oracles of media information they agree with and which ones they raise their eyebrows.
And when I say media discretion, I'm talking particularly in the interest of when trials and due process things are taking place that affects people's jobs and credibility outside later on.
Well, they do tend to jump rather quickly in those areas. I think most people would agree with that. Melody, a comment to you?
But I think there's no way to control the situation. I believe in freedom of information. I would like to see journalists be as responsible as they can be, but I think there's no way to try to force down any rules of protocol or behavior there, judicially related or not.
Let us go to David. I'm sorry, this is Steve, listening in Los Angeles on KOGO. Thanks for calling tonight. What do you do for a living, Steve?
Oh, hi, Bruce. I work in the film biz.
In the film business?
Yeah. I'm a big deal maker. Not really.
All right.
But
do you want a designation as the official something in the film business?
Well, yes, absolutely. I would like to be.
What is your title?
I'm a lab rat, actually.
You are a lab rat, all right.
Yeah, we developed camera negative for
Well,
people.
you are, I believe you are the first official lab rat of the new millennium.
Well, we should be, absolutely, yes. And first of all, hello, everybody. I want to respond to a caller earlier to the saying this. Where is our Social Security surplus going? And it's been going into government-issued T-bills and T-bonds since I think it was the early 70s, because that's, as far as the government is concerned, is really the only safe investment. I mean, would you rather we put our money, I mean, IBM is nice, but those things tend to fluctuate. But other than that, I really want to comment on the deficit and the coming surplus, which, of course, Bill Clinton has to get some credit for, because up until that, if you look at the chart, the deficit was going from 240 to 260 up every year, and now it's even their rosy scenario projections were underestimated because it went down to 180, down to 60, down to 30. They're projecting a $40 billion surplus this year. I'll bet you any money it comes up over $100 billion. And the thing we really need to do is start retiring some of the long-term T-bonds that we issued during the 80s. Just call them in because we're paying out exorbitant interest rates of 8.5%, and we need to retire that debt, and we have already done this, as a matter of fact. Not too many people realize that we have called in some long-term debt and refinanced it short-term, low interest rate.
And that was one of the things that Melody recommended earlier.
It's the only thing we can do. I mean, we got to start working on this deficit, folks.
I think it's very interesting that tonight, since we've asked that question, we've had one caller that called in and said we should spend more, but virtually everyone else, including probably our most progressive member of the panel here, said retire the debt. That has to come first. I hope they're listening in Washington, D.C.
It's kind of like your own house. When you have an extra dollar come in or something, you should start thinking about paying off your interest, your credit cards, of course. Preferably never getting into that trap, but the idea is keep your mortgage going. We need that, but again, we got to start working on this long-term debt. And it's not a bad idea, because then when I retire in 2020, believe it or not, there will be some Social Security. I'm not banking on that, and the world is not flat. But I do think that we've heard these crises all our lives about it's never going to be there, and it never works out that way. I think the economy is pretty sound, and we're going to go up and we're going to go down.
Good, Steve. I appreciate your call. Where do you listen to the program on Sunday nights out there?
Los Angeles.
Are you listening in your car or at work? Or at home?
No, at home, actually.
Very good.
Usually at work, but tonight at home.
Good. Well, thanks very much. Have a happy New Year.
See you, Bruce.
Thanks very much. Our telephone number, 1-800-723-8289. Jay in Schaumburg, Illinois, listens to the station WLS, News Radio 89. Go ahead.
Yes, how are you guys?
Fine, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I guess a couple of these terms bother me, and we've been bouncing back and forth in regards to the economy, that, there's a strong economy, a global economy. I don't know what all this means to me. When I hear the word strong, in front of the economy, for who? The big companies? Where are all my benefits? I run a small business. I guess I want to get into, maybe I should get to the crux of this. Let me theorize a little bit.
Are you better off or worse off today than you were a year ago?
A year ago, I don't really see that much change. Maybe 4 years, I could definitely, pinpoint some change here and there.
Better?
I guess the point I want to make is this. If we look at what is true capitalism, I think there's a lot of untrue capitalism out there. That's the term or the label I'll use. And I think the results of untrue capitalism create the need for socialism. Let's say someone like me or someone in small business is a true capitalist. We buy and sell within the United States. We're at that point. That's how we do business. Now let's look at the big businesses that represent the untrue capitalism. They partake in this global economy and its benefits. I don't. To me, the global economy is a cop-out which officially labels this activity of downsizing and manufacturing.
Let's let Melody respond to what you've said thus far, Jay.
Well, I think the easiest way, just to get at your basic question, what does it mean that we're having a strong economy? I think it really sort of boils down to 4 main points. One, which is the most important to the average person, people have jobs. We have the lowest unemployment rate in over 2 decades, actually 24 years in this country right now, and that's an accomplishment. Secondly, companies are more profitable. So no matter where you are in this country right now, in most industries, businesses are making money, which means they're hiring people, which means they're growing, which would be the third point. And then lastly, when you look at this on from a global perspective, the American dollar is very strong, and that helps with our imports. It helps with export issues. It's something that helps our country tremendously.
I mean, all this, let me call these bland statistics. Somehow they don't enter my life in any form or fashion. It's just nice of you to quote all that. But
well, what kind of work do you do, Jay? Tell us about your job.
I'm in the printing business, but I've slowly had to get rid of all my equipment because, frankly, people out there with the bucks and the funding and the ability to hire people to print for less can get me out of the box. So I can't quote effectively, so now I'm a broker, and this has happened in the last 2 years, and I make more money doing that. In other words, I'm just one more middleman added to the pot of America.
I think that's a function of our country becoming more of a service economy as opposed to a manufacturing economy. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind from this perspective is our country is more efficient than it's ever been. We're one of the most efficient countries in the world, and so clearly that has had a big impact on smaller American businesses.
See, that's just a paradoxical statement. If we're such a great country with so much technology, my question is, why can't we manufacture competitively here anymore? Is the third world better than us? Companies receive the benefits, not the end user.
Chip's got a comment, Jay.
Well, we can manufacture competitively here, and some companies choose to do so. It's really a function of what the philosophy is, the management of the different companies. My company specifically is in the productivity business. We work with companies large and small with our software tools to help them improve their productivity. And, there are companies that are literally, 50 people making casters, for example, that have, increased their productivity and are actively working on that every day, and they're competing. And there are other companies that, the management says, no, we'd rather, just move the plant to Mexico, and that's their choice. But we certainly can and do in many markets compete with the best of manufacturing anywhere in the world.
Clearly, the auto industry has been a great example of that. When you look at foreign car manufacturers, they've put plants in the U.S. because we can manufacture their cars more efficiently here in our country.
No, isn't one of the reasons also that they put the plants here in the U.S. is because of trade sanctions and extra taxes that are put on a car if it's made in Japan as opposed to being made in the United States?
That all comes down to productivity. It's productivity. I mean, it's a basic part of that.
Jay, thanks very much for your call. We appreciate it. Good luck to you in 1998. 1-800-723-8289 is the telephone number. From beyond the Beltway in Chicago, I'm Bruce Dumont, coming to you live from the Radio Hall of Fame at the Museum of Broadcast Communications. If you're coming to Chicago, stop by and see us at the Chicago Cultural Center, Michigan Avenue and Washington Street.
I'm not everyone. I'm me. So when I decided to quit smoking, I did not choose that one-size-fits-all patch. I chose Nicorette gum. Nicorette has this flexible dosing schedule that helped me control my cravings. It let me use the strength I needed, the amount I needed when I needed it. Nicorette was personal. It fit me. Me the non-smoker. Me.
Nicorette gum helps you fight your cravings, your habit, your way. You can do it. Nicorette can help. Use as directed with enclosed stop smoking guide.
Are we there yet? You think us kids like asking that over and over in the car? Not. But in kid time, driving takes forever. Just get us out of here. If we only had our own special button that could hyperspace us to wherever we were going. A button that could stop traffic. A button that would make ice cream stands appear whenever we wanted.
Driving can be a hassle, but not at Shell. We're making all kinds of improvements to help speed things along for everyone. Shell, moving at the speed of life.
YES Year-End Sales Event. YES is the word you'll hear at your neighborhood Mitsubishi dealers. When you lock in 1.9% financing on a brand new 1998 Mitsubishi Galant, Eclipse, or Montero Sport. YES. Yes, you'll get 1.9% and go payment free for 90 days during Mitsubishi's Year-End Sales Event. YES. It's the final days of this one-time offer, so say yes today to the family sedan with a sports car feel, Galant, or America's #1 selling import sports car, Eclipse, or the hottest new sport utility, Montero Sport. And yes, you'll get 1.9% financing and go payment free for 90 days. During the final days of the year-end sales event. Rush to your neighborhood Mitsubishi dealer today. Mitsubishi, built for living in the Midwest. 1.9% APR on select models for 24 months with MMCA approval. Excludes Eclipse Spider.
Tiger Woods, Princess Diana.
Of all the personalities and newsmakers from 1997, only one will be chosen.
Madeleine Albright.
One person whose biography intrigued us, fascinated us, made us proud.
Mother Teresa.
Who helped us to see things in a whole new light.
Charles Carroll.
Biography of the Year, a special presentation on the A&E Television Network. One person. Who will it be? Watch Biography of the Year tonight at 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific on A&E.
Breathing isn't something I take for granted anymore. Not since I found out I have asthma. You can't ignore the warning signs. If you do ignore them, asthma won't go away. But you might.
If you cough a lot, wheeze, are short of breath, or feel tightness in your chest, have it checked out. Breathe easier. Ask your doctor if it's asthma. A message from the National Asthma Education Program.
From Serendipity in Redding, California, to the Grand Bistro in Wichita, Kansas, you're listening to Beyond the Beltway. I'm Bruce Dumont. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Melody Hobson joins us, one of our voices from Beyond the Beltway. She is the Senior Vice President and Director of Marketing for Ariel Mutual Funds in Chicago. Kathy Posner is here. She is President of her public relations company called Com2. And Chip Wilkins is here, Marketing Executive with a startup software company. And he is a native New Yorker, as is Kathy Posner. And Melody is from Chicago. And before we take more calls, I want to just take a moment to thank you all for joining us every Sunday night. For those of you who are regular listeners to this program, it's always nice to know where you're calling from. It's nice to know Steve is out there, usually at work, at home tonight, probably because of the holidays. But every Sunday night we try to provide an opportunity for people living beyond the Beltway to offer their assessment, not only on the week as they have seen it and they've experienced it in their respective cities around the United States, but also to react to the Sunday morning programs. So much of American political opinion really is focused on Washington, D.C. The purpose of this program is to give real people from real America an opportunity to talk with real passion about issues, and it's nice to have you with us tonight. And again, when people like Jay from Schaumburg, Illinois, call in with the daily battle that he has and keeping his head above water in the fight for his family in this country, that's what this program is all about. That's what the country is all about. And we thank you very much for joining us, not only tonight, but every Sunday night on Beyond the Beltway. Let us go to Mike, listening to us on KOGO in San Diego, California, one of our strongest affiliates. Nice to have you with us, and Happy New Year to you.
Hey, Happy New Year to you. Hey, can I be the temp employee of the Millennium?
Yes, you can. Are you own a temp company, or are you?
No, I am a temp, but as I imagine, with a lot of other people out there.
I would say that may be the most fashionable job of the new millennium.
I think it's the latest trend. I mean, to us, I don't think the economy is that great. I mean, if companies are going to be outsourcing, the least they could do is offer a little bit more money to us, at least the agencies anyway. I mean, we have to do many times without paid holidays, and we don't get vacation and paid vacation, stuff like that. I mean, you go through newspapers nowadays, and I bet you 25% of the ads out there are from employment agencies, temporary agencies.
Melanie, to our last caller, you painted kind of a rosy picture. What picture would you paint to Mike? He has painted a picture of the temporary worker, someone who's basically out there working, but maybe a little on the margins.
Well, the only thing that I could say about that, I guess, 2 points. One is the temporary services industry is one of the fastest growing industries in the country right now, the companies that own those businesses, because there needs to be a lot more flexibility in terms of employees in America these days with the different needs that a company might have on a regular basis.
But is one of the needs for greater profits, and one way to get greater profits is you don't give people days off and you don't give them benefits, and that's one of the ways you squeeze out the profits.
I don't think, maybe this sounds naive of me, I don't think that people go into having temps as a result of trying to look at ways not to give people benefits. I often think that their businesses are growing faster than they can hire regular employees.
The sound you heard was eyebrows being raised around the table, Chip.
Well, I mean, if you look at what happened over the last 15 years, I mean, a lot of companies went in with a battle axe and cleaved out whole, large components of their workforce.
A lot of waste was there.
And there's no doubt about it. But also, you hear a lot of companies around here in Chicago, as an example, say, well, maybe we went a little bit too far. They let go whole tiers of people who understood what was going on within the company, et cetera, et cetera. And now as a means of, again, I think in part controlling costs, it's simpler to bring in temporary workers because they don't have a permanent impact on the balance sheet. They're a short-term expense, and if they're not needed tomorrow, if there's a slight downtick in the economy, we let them go, and that's the end of that. Kevin?
That's the whole thing with the word temp employee. It's temporary. You need somebody for a while, you don't need them later on. So they haven't built up anything within the company to be able to have any benefits given to them at all. They're in and out.
The question I would have for Mike is, how long have you worked as a temp at any particular company?
The longest time?
Yes.
Currently right now, 2 months.
This is my point. You don't hear of temps working in businesses for 3 years. So I don't think it's something where...
Oh, yes, I do. I've worked for... I've been set down on assignments where some of the workers have been temps there for 2 years, at least.
If you look at what's happened with the IRS, I mean, they've gone after companies who are basically saying people are temps, on a 1099 contract employment basis, and said, wrong. This is not what you're doing. They're really employees, and all you're doing is shifting the Social Security tax burden and payroll taxes to your workers.
Mike, we've got to move on. Thanks very much. You brought up an interesting point. Let us move to Pete, listening to us on KVI, the radio home of Kirby Wilbur, Jim Flack, Michael Medved, a cast of thousands out there, one of our great affiliates. Bellevue, Washington. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This impending IMF bailout of Korea, is this a sign that the global economy is either a failure or the global economy this precedent is a dangerous precedent because anytime a country cannot compete or fails, we have to go bail them, otherwise the world economy is going to falter?
That's a very good question. Melody, what's your answer to it?
I wouldn't say that it would be an indication that the global economy is a failure because I think you're looking at isolated situations. The economy is made up of different economies, this global economy. So that's too easy an answer. I do think that it is somewhat of a dangerous precedent, but at the same time, I'm not sure if there are any easy solutions here. It's not viable to let a country of that size just really basically fall on its knees because of some problems that have existed there with some of their industries.
Well, then what can we do to keep this from happening? Because they keep saying we don't do this, then the domino effect, we've got Malaysia, Thailand, Korea.
All of Asia, for that matter.
All of Asia, sure.
I mean, doesn't it also fly in the face of what we're trying to teach in this country, and that is personal responsibility? You are responsible for your own conduct. You either perform well and succeed, or you fail.
Yes, but
in this particular case, they have failed.
But I think that statement is true, and that's obviously what we are trying to teach in our country. But at the same time, there are some safeguards. So if you don't take personal responsibility and you find yourself out of work, there is welfare, even though we've been trying to change that.
Yeah.
This is the same situation. It's a global welfare system.
But if I go on welfare, that doesn't mean my neighbor's going to starve too. My loss of a job will not create a domino effect where everybody in my neighborhood is going to lose their job too, hopefully. And then somebody has to come bail me out so I can bail everybody else out too. Keep them from starving.
You have a very good point there. The only thing that I think we can do is try to teach as responsible a capitalist system as we can in some of these burgeoning countries.
And one final question. Who are we really bailing out? Are we bailing out multinational corporations that have invested money? And this is our way of keeping them from failing too, because it's like the SNL bailout almost, really. They invest their money, they invest their risk capital, but the risk is not really there.
That's what we did in Mexico.
And somehow they paid us back.
So, I mean, they get bailed out, and we're left with Mexico the way it is right now.
I think there are political, social, and economic issues that are going on all at once there, and it's not easy to pin on one specific issue.
Thanks for your comment. I said about 15 minutes ago, I talked about Mexico in the next 10 years, that the devastation that I think, the explosion that's going to take place in that country. Is there anybody at this table that disagrees with that?
I don't think any of us do.
Is there anything that we can do other than what we're doing right now? I mean, we're watching it happen. We're trying to, deal with not only the drug problem down there, the corruption problem down there. We have a situation where you have an entrenched government now, at least according to the most recent reports, perhaps complicity in the massacre that took place there last year. I mean, or last week rather. I mean, how can we continue to operate and blind our eyes to what's going on in our neighbors?
Well, I think it's very dangerous for us to do so. I mean, ever since NAFTA and the devaluation of the peso, you've had a situation down there that's become progressively more volatile. And we, historically, unless there is perceived to be a national security threat south of the border, pretty much ignore everything south of Texas. In terms of the media, in terms of political issues and what have you. We tend to focus on what's happening in Europe and of recent times in Asia. But I really think it is, in our best interest that we really have to take a very close look at that and see how we, as we're now more joined at the hip as a result of NAFTA, what can we do to help them move forward, or we're going to, in part, pay the price. And some people would argue they're already paying the price now.
Do you believe that revolution in Mexico is inevitable, Kathy?
I believe it's inevitable, but back to what we're talking about on blinding our eyes. I don't think we're blinding our eyes. I think we see what's going on, but I don't understand legally how we are going to be able to do anything. They have a corrupt government, unless, as Chip says, it's a national security issue to us as in the United States. What right do we have to go in there and do anything? It's their country.
What about the war against drugs, though? I mean, does that not border on a national security concern that we have here?
Right, then we have to try to stop it at the border and do a better way of stopping it at the border. Doesn't give us the right to go into Mexico with our own police forces to tell them how to run their company.
What about most favored nation status for Mexico? Or is it one of these situations that no matter what we do, no matter what sanction we might want to impose, but really, when it comes to dealing with Mexico, we are absolutely a paper tiger. We're a eunuch. There isn't anything we can do about it. Is that where we're at the moment?
I don't think that's where we're at, because the facts of the matter is our economic power is very important to Mexico's long-term viability. And so I think that we are not a paper tiger from that regard. They need us dramatically, as we need them too. But they need us.
Then why is there not some display that they are trying to rid their nation of corruption at virtually every level of their government? I mean, how can we sit by and say that our money is being used as a weapon in this case when it's not?
Well, but they are, though. For the first time, they've elected a mayor of Mexico City who is not a member of the PRI. So there are changes going on politically within Mexico that it depends on how we choose to support or not.
We better speed up that timetable, or we're going to be in deep doo-doo. 1-800-723-8289.
Welcome to the museum. Can I help you?
Yeah. Which way is the Treasures of Egypt exhibit?
It's no longer here, sir.
Oh, jeez. I wanted to get a good picture of Cleopatra's headdress. Last time I had the wrong speed film.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, maybe if you stood over here and put this big flower pot on your head.
Like this?
Perfect.
There are no do-overs in life, so don't get caught without Kodak Gold Max film. Kodak Gold Max. Maximum versatility for bright light, low light, stills, and fast action. Kodak. Take pictures.
I'm not every
everyone. I'm me. So when I decided to quit smoking, I did not choose that one-size-fits-all patch. I chose Nicorette gum. Nicorette has this flexible dosing schedule that helped me control my cravings. It let me use the strength I needed, the amount I needed when I needed it. Nicorette was personal. It fit me. You know, me the non-smoker. Me.
Nicorette gum helps you fight your cravings, your habit, your way. You can do it. Nicorette can help. Use as directed with enclosed stop smoking guide.
The Star of Wonder. It is perhaps the most famous astronomical account of ancient times. The timeless story of the three wise men on a journey of faith, led to their new king not by a map, but by a shining star. The Adler Planetarium invites you to join us for our classic holiday sky show as we explore the winter solstice and this mysterious light in the sky. But hurry, because the Star of Wonder will only be here for 5 weeks, beginning November 27th and ending on January 6th. And while those three wise men tried to find their destination by following the star, you may find it easier to follow the signs to Chicago's museum campus. Discover the story behind the Star of Wonder. And stick around to see our premier exhibits of astronomy artifacts and deep space photos. For more information about our sky show, contact the Adler Planetarium at 312-922-STAR.
Your wife is going to have a baby. A boy. He's going to be so beautiful. You have such dreams for him. The first shortstop in the family. And then they tell you he has spina bifida. You cry and you curse and you clench that tiny new baseball mitt in your hands and never to throw it away. It may take time, but you will play catch with your son.
Hope. That's what Easter Seals is all about. At some point in their lives, 1 in 5 Americans will be affected by disability. With your help, we can make physical, recreational, and speech therapies affordable for the families of children born with disabilities. But we can't do it without you. Support Easter Seals. Give ability a chance.
Florentina's Pasta Bar in Kennewick, Washington, to Millennium on West Randolph Street in Chicago. You're listening to Beyond the Beltway. It's not the new Millennium, it's just Millennium. They're ahead of the curve. Let's go to David listening.